time for Newsletter Chat, where Jen and Jamie chat about newsletters. Newsletter Chat with Jamie and Jen. Good morning.
Good morning, Jamie. How are you?
Great. And we did not even plan to both wear like gray today. We're very color coordinated.
Mine's navy and white.
It is?
It is.
Well, right. I like navy much better than gray.
Yeah, I like your cup. I like your initial.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. We have the best initial.
We have the best initial for sure. It's true though. We can usually find things with like J's on them. I could never find anything with Jennifer with one N or Jen. Back when I was growing up, nobody used the name Jen. Like my family did, or like my grandpa, who, Reverend Albright, was like Jin. I was always Jin to him. And so, but like, so you couldn't find Jenny the way I spelled it. You couldn't find Jennifer the way I spelled it. But initial things, I could find J's. So I always loved
my
that.
husband's name is Stash. So never did he find. So when
he
we
understands
got married, yes, when we got married, we went to the Smoky Mountains and they had one of those just cards that say your name and then it says the meaning. But they had to order your own. So I took that and I ordered him one that had his name on it.
That's awesome.
Because he could never get a souvenir.
That's great.
That was back in the day before you could just print one. Morning, Kristen.
Morning, Kristen. Maria says, hey, I finally made this one. The whole time I thought this started 1 p.m. my time. I thought it was clashed with lunch, but it's 2 p.m. here.
Yay! That's awesome.
So glad you're here. Awesome.
Yeah, we want to know what's up with your newsletter, Maria, because we come here to ask everyone what's their newsletter concern and maybe help them out because like Jen's been doing a newsletter for quite a while. Mine is still getting established, but I know what people who don't have anybody on their newsletter list doesn't know. So we're here to help.
That's what we're here for. All right. We have no plan for this?
We have no plan for this newsletter chat.
Do you want to make the announcement at the end or do you want to talk about it now?
Oh, well, I can talk about it now. This will be my last newsletter chat, March 30th, 2021. So Jen is forging ahead boldly without me. She is going to continue newsletter chat. So I hope that you all will still be here. And when I can, I will also be in the newsletter chat, probably saying, woe is me. Why did I ever leave newsletter chat? Because now I'm stranded on an island of sadness. Yeah, but I know I will never walk alone because I have you all.
I don't think that's ever going to happen, but thanks for making me feel good about that. So newsletter chat was always my idea, something that I wanted to do. And I really didn't know, for me, it was just gonna be like, hey, let's just talk about what's going to be in our newsletters this week. It would be like kind of an accountability for us as well, like anyone that wanted to tune in. And so it's turned into a little bit more than that. I mean, if you go back to our original episodes with Jamie talks about we kind of like how to set up a newsletter. We kind of give all the basics, but now we're to the point where it's like we are kind of where I thought it would be. Let's just talk about what happened with last week's newsletter. What are you gonna put in this week's? So forging ahead and fun that we have people in the chat to stay with me. So that's great.
Yeah.
Maria says, my newsletter is still getting established. Started back in October, I think. I do a monthly newsletter at the moment. Got about 50 subscribers.
Oh, yeah. Monthly is a very good rate to start, I think.
Yeah. I was at 60, I want to say, for forever. Let me see. I can go back through my campaigns, I think.
Well, that's a really good thing to talk about, actually, because what I was thinking about doing for my next newsletter is going back to my first newsletter and harvesting some of the stuff that I sent out because my newsletter list was very small. And so there's a chance that only 35 of my subscribers even saw that. And if I go and examine, it might be like all of my friends and family. So it may be that I have some material that I can recycle for my newsletter this month that will seem fresh to the people who are now actively reading. And that will save me a little bit of anxiety about what to put in my newsletter. So if you find yourself in that situation, just be mindful that it's not, the same subscribers who've already seen that content, but it is a good way to come up with new material that you don't have to think of.
Right. All right, I'll share screen on this because it's going to be a scratch your head moment. Okay, so this goes back to the beginning. I've been doing a newsletter for 2 years. Nearly 2 years. I started in May of 2019. And gosh, it feels like this was not my first newsletter. What happened to Esther? Like, I don't even know. Because this
Wow.
is me explaining why Esther's book wasn't out yet, I guess. I don't know.
What happened to Esther?
I don't know. I don't even know. But look at this, 41 recipients. I got
Mhm.
7 more before the next month. And then
How
this
many
big
open?
jump.
Wait, how many people open? So 41 recipients, your open rate is, so go down to the open
The open
rate
was 20
percentage.
people.
20
Oh, down the
opens.
first one. I'm sorry, 24.
24 opened. Okay, so 24 people read that first newsletter.
So at the
If you think
beginning
about it that
here,
way.
yeah, and if you go back and watch some of our old newsletter chats, I talk about how I started with a Facebook group and I would post in there all the time. And then when I was ready to do the newsletter, those were my first subscribers. They didn't all
Mhm.
navigate over, but most of them did. And so most of them are people that knew me, friends, family, friends of friends who
Mhm.
are interested in the genre. And so I can explain how you can go back and watch old newsletter chats and you can see how I did that, like what my strategy was and how I did that. Um, but so here's the funny thing, 72 recipient. So I went from monthly to I jumped to like every 10 days and then 2 days later, I don't even know what I was doing. Like, but look, I lost like 20 some recipients in that period of
Oh.
time. I think what I did was I would probably listen to a podcast of someone else and instead of like looking at my own experiences, I went ahead and took everybody that had not opened yet off. Now look at how quickly I did it within
Mm.
2 months. Like, come on, Jen. Like, but so I'm thinking I probably like people that were like my friends that were never going to read my books or that had not clicked. I think I was just like, but I don't do
Well,
that
I
anymore.
get I get that, Jen, because let me say, as someone who's new to the newsletter, I've had, hi, Jason. He just
Hi,
popped
Jason.
in. Sorry, squirrel.
That's okay.
Scroll. Okay, so the thing is, when I look at my open rate, I think just the thoughts that you're thinking. Like, I want to curate my list to be people who will actually open. And I don't
Hmm.
really want to keep my own opening was bumping up my open rate. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I would
Yes.
be at like 38%, and then I'd go open my own, and then I'd notice, well, now I'm at 40%. So I'm like, I don't want artificial numbers. So I would, like, for example, not open mine. And I would tell my husband not to open his because I would want to see of the people who are actively not people I know. So the
Right.
temptation would be to take people off who are just on there because they're your friend and they said that they would sign up for your newsletter. They're never going to read your stuff. They just love you. The temptation is to get an authentic read on who cares about your work, right?
Right. So early on, because it's people that weren't going to buy my book, I can't even see where they click. There was some clicking. This one had like a 1% click, and it's showing
Right.
0% on all of these.
But
No
you
one
can't
clicked.
take it personally either because, like,
No.
I've noticed that I've missed people's emails, like the newsletters that come sometimes. I mean, I get so many emails, you know what I mean? And if,
Yes.
I wouldn't even be excited about an email coming from a famous person at this point. So it's
Right.
not something to be taken personal if people don't see your email.
Right. So this one here, 8 more days, 12.5% click. Let's see where they clicked on that. I'm curious. The only reason we're revisiting this is I'm trying to show Maria and everyone else that you start somewhere,
Yeah,
right?
for
So
sure.
um,
And it's really neat to see that you can see all of this that Jennifer did in the past when she was building up. I love your countdown timer there. That's cool.
yeah, I
What a
forgot
good
I did
idea.
that. Yeah.
Hmm. Look
So
at that picture of
33
you. How old is that picture of you?
2 years.
It's like,
Just
it
2.
does not look like you from far away. It looks
Oh,
like my
really?
friend Jennifer, different Jennifer. I would need
Yeah.
to get closer to it.
There's no sarcasm pouring out of the eyes of this one or, so I
No
cannot
smirk.
be you, Jennifer.
Oh man.
So in this one, the only thing clicked on were this free romance and whatnot. So I got some traction there. But honestly, so again, Maria, I know you've missed a bunch, but using Story Origin to do newsletter swaps and then Story Origin and Book Funnel to do promos, that's how I built my list. And it's
Can,
very targeted because you only swap with people that have the same genre as you. You only do promos of the same genre as you. So you
yes,
get readers of your
yes,
genre. Now, some of them you will have people
yes.
that are just pursuing free books, and that happens. But I also have had people that are only pursuing free books and I hook them.
Well,
So
and yes, and in the early days, Jen, you only had the one book. So if
Yes.
someone was on your mailing list because they read your book and loved it, you would not get a click to download that book. So that also is going to affect your click rate, right? So like these people
Yes.
might have clicked on a different book, but they already had Esther. So you can't really say that it was a failed ad because it's just maybe a product they already owned.
Right. And I was
Right.
so new at this. When I look at that newsletter, I see so many things that I would not do anymore, or the things that I'm like, oh, like I don't need to have my face plastered at the top. It's not a bad thing, but like, I work. There's other things. Well, that's a whole nother episode, I think.
Well, you've evolved in branding, you've evolved in all kinds
Yes.
of ways.
Yep. Maria says I use Story Origin for my 2 reader magnets. Yeah, newsletter swaps is where I'm looking at next. I asked a
Mm,
question about it earlier. Not sure. No, I didn't see it.
I did not
Sorry.
either.
Oh, here we go. I have a fairly good open rate, I think, but I could do with having a few more clicks. It's a mix of people, of some people I know in real life, but most of them are writers from Twitter. Yeah,
Well, I just want to
yeah.
question the premise. I don't know the answer, but
Okay,
why is I need more clicks something that Maria is saying? Like, what is her strategy for cultivating more clicks? Does she need more clicks so that she'll have a better reputation somewhere? Does she want more clicks because that means more sales? Or is pursuing more clicks just something that sounds like a problem that maybe isn't a problem? I don't know. I'm just asking the question. Like,
okay,
like I'm not getting enough clicks. Why is that? What is she looking for there?
okay. So I can answer some of those, but she might have a oh, she says that wasn't the question. LOL, type again. Okay, great. Type it again for me, Maria. Sorry.
Yes.
Okay, so I can answer that question from my perspective. Yes, your reputation is important if you're going to be doing newsletter swaps and you're going to be doing promotions, because they look at that. And if you want to trade with somebody who has a good active list, they're going to want to see that you have a good active list. So that is one of it too. I also think, myself personally, I think there's a psychology there that if I send out emails that people aren't clicking in, they get used to not clicking on anything in my emails, and then they possibly don't see any value in it. So when I get clicks, I can see I've given them something of value that they want to see. If I get no clicks, then I have to look at my email and say, okay, where did I fail in the email? Where have I not given my readers the value that they are expecting or that they want? Does that make sense? It's more
Yeah, it
about my
does.
performance.
Right. Well, and that's a measure that some people are going to think is valuable, because if I send out a newsletter just to communicate with people and I don't expect them to click, well,
Right,
then there's not a problem.
right. And you
Right.
can see that early on if I go back, if I back go and skip forward to like my early ones. Some of them there was like a 2% click. I didn't give them anything to click, 1.8 per nine. Those were
Mm-hmm.
just thanks for everything. Those were
Mm-hmm.
not, I was not trying to get clicks.
Right.
So
Right.
agreed. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and my focus is different now. My focus is,
Yeah.
I realize that my newsletter is actually another product of Jennifer Carl Tong. So
Got it.
readers get my books, but they also get a piece of me. Like, so like
Mm.
it's like they want to know more, so
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
okay, let's see. Yeah, this didn't show up at all. I think I heard Tina talk about the click rate on
Oh,
a
it's the next
podcast.
one.
Oh,
Her
okay.
question is the next one.
Click rate is what you need for sales, and know you have devoted readers. Yeah, I agree with that. So like if I can see that I'm getting, like, I'll do the math. If I can see that I'm getting on average 25% click rate, 17% click rate, then I can do the math of um when I release a book, 17% will click on the book to at least go look at it. Like, so you can do that, but yeah, I'm not really
Right.
good at those
It's all
stats. But
statistical data. For sure.
okay. I'm at the point where I'm looking to grow my subscribers. I keep thinking about newsletter swaps.
Mm.
Do you swap the whole newsletter content or just the reader magnets free
Oh,
content?
can I answer since I know the answer?
Yeah.
All right. So here's what happens. It's two people who have a newsletter and a freebie who are agreeing to promote each other's freebie to each other's newsletter list. So you're basically running an advertisement inside your newsletter saying, go look at Susie Q's free download. And Susie Q is swapping that courtesy in exchange. So it's like an advertisement that you're taking out in their newsletter, if you want to look at it that way. Jen, are you pulling up one that you did? Because that would be
I am.
amazing.
Is that
Yes.
you want me to pull up? I was going to pull up Story Origin, but I can pull up a swap. That would be
Yeah.
smarter.
So we're going to look at Jennifer put a book that is not her own. And so what it happens is people who are
let's do
willing
this
to
one.
swap will put their reader magnet up and they will say, hey, look at this great book I wrote. Do you want to feature it in your newsletter? They will tell you what the genre is, et cetera, et cetera. And then you tell them, yes, you and I write similarly. Let's swap. So here we go. So here's Jennifer's newsletter. Go, Jen.
But I had the wrong title on. I sent it and forgot to change the subject line. That's why I chose, because I knew this had a swap in it.
Yes.
Okay, so I start my newsletters off with a little bit about me, about the book or something. What this is my personal part, and then I will say, while you wait patiently for a book from me, I will continue to look for other reads to keep you busy. This week I found a free book, which, by the way, try not to use the word free because I found out that that will put you into promotions.
Oh, wow.
In Google. Yeah, try to use other words besides free. Book for you from an author new to me, Christina Kirsch. I got a lot of great feedback on this one, by the way. People that already liked Christina wrote me and said, "Oh, I'm so glad you featured her. She's so great." You can see that 11.2% of people that open or of my readers clicked on this. So I make the picture where they can click on it. They can click on, I guess that's it, and then they can click on down here. So if this is where, see, buttons are important. 11.2%. This is the same link, but this breaks it down so I can see, okay, the picture doesn't need to be so big because they're actually going to click on the button. That's where people mostly click for my newsletters.
And just so you know, if you don't have the green boxes over your buttons, that's because Jen has an upgraded membership plan. You can get that if you pay, and it's a really cool feature. So just know yours might look a little different.
Right. Maria says, okay, so you just swap the free content, not the actual newsletter content. No, just your freebie. You can also swap UBLs, like universal book links. So if you have a new release, you can swap with somebody, and you could do it in advance. Like, say, for instance,
those are books that are not free.
Yes. So I have a book coming out in May. I could swap right now with somebody and say, like, I will feature your book now if you will feature my book in May. So because I know, because when you have a release, you really want to focus on just your book. You don't want to have a bunch of other books in there to confuse your readers. So mine would be for purchase, but somebody else might like want the reader magnet. I have a lot of people asking me, or had a lot of people asking me to feature their paid book, but they didn't have any newsletter subscribers. So I wasn't getting nothing out of it. They were just looking for sales. And so that's not what newsletter swaps are for. It should be beneficial to both people. And by that, I mean, like, if you, like, say you, Maria, if we wrote in the same genre, which we're close, some people who read historical romance also read straight up historical. But if we were to swap, I would swap with you, even though you have a low subscriber numbers compared to me, because you're building your newsletter. So like that's what you do for each other. You help each other out. So anyway.
Yeah. And Maria and I have been talking a little bit, and Maria, I'm absolutely down with sharing content. We were talking how fun it is that there's differences between how English use expressions and Americans use expressions, and how fun it would be to kind of have some kind of cross talk about that. But anyway, yeah, I think that idea is genius, Maria. If you could work it out even with someone else to where you're kind of pen paling inside each other's newsletter. And in my opinion, especially if it's someone who doesn't write in exactly your genre, because then you're opening yourself up to a new audience of people. So maybe someone who doesn't write historical, but still writes clean or Christian, who's an American who would like to buddy up with you about that idea. And I'm also sitting over here open with that, even though I'm not explicitly Christian. So I'm there for you.
Right. It's totally genre specific too. Like for me, I really look for Christian romance.
Right.
Because
for sure.
I am very targeted in my genre. If a person like Jamie is not super targeted in their genre, yeah, you should be swapping with different people and different genres, because you're looking for readers that like all different kinds of genres. I'm looking for that person that can't stop reading Christian romance.
Right. Yeah, because so they're gonna buy everything that you publish.
Exactly. I'm trying to find one that has more than one. I would at max share 2 books and or 2 promos. I would try to do not more than 2, because I just feel like that's I don't want to be too spammy, and I also want, if I'm going to swap with you, I want to give you like good clicks, right?
Yeah.
Not everybody you swap with is like that though. A lot of people will just stuff it full. So this one only had a giveaway. a
Yeah, I
promo.
remember this one woman who actually reached out to me to thank me for the wonderful placement. And when I realized that it was not like a reciprocal situation, like the clicks she sent me was way less. And then I looked at her newsletter and there was just so many featured books that mine kind of was one of very many, and hers was like the only one in my newsletter. You see what I mean?
Yes.
So you can look in advance to see how you will be showcased by looking at their old newsletters that went out. So
Right.
you can avoid something like that happening to you by perusing. Do you want to show them where they put someone's like past issues? And then you
Yes.
could see,
So newsletter swaps. This should not show anybody's email addresses. So find a swap. I go in here and I look for Christian. You have to click on it. You can't just hit enter. I don't know why it's like that, but and then romance. I could put
and
historical in there. You can just do historical. Um, and then be careful. I once actually accidentally hit erotic romance. And I'm like, why can't I find any swaps that are Christian erotic romance? I don't know. I would be worried if I found swaps like that. I would be worried.
I just
Um,
want to say also that Jen is using Story Origin, which right now
yes.
is free for everyone. You should get on there and play around with it while it's free. It will start to cost after, I believe, April, but get in now. You can try all of the pro free features for free, and then it'll continue to be free for 3 months, and then they're going to expect you to start paying. So go, Jen.
So you can see how many subscribers they have. You can see what their open rate is and what their click rate is. If you see a check mark, it means that Story Origin was able to verify their numbers through either MailerLite or Chipmunk. What is it called? The monkey.
MailChimp,
MailChimp.
Chipmunky, yes. Yes, we love Monkey
So,
Chimp.
all right. So Danny and I have traded before. I think rather successfully. I don't remember, but okay. I was a little concerned about this cover, but I looked at the inside and it was fine. So you click here if you want to exchange, but you can look at past performance and upcoming dates. You click on that. And then, so this is upcoming campaigns. So you can look to see which ones you want to, but then you click past campaigns. This is the great thing. I don't like to swap with anyone unless I see a check it out here. So when you click check it out, I don't think she'll care. Like, I mean,
I think
this
she
might give
probably
her
would like
more.
people to look at her newsletter, right? I
Oh,
mean, I would want people looking at
that's
my
weird.
newsletter. So
I've
Jason
never,
is saying it's cool you can see previous newsletters. Jason, only if the person who made the newsletter updates the little spot. So it's up to you as an author to put the link to your newsletter. Okay, here we go.
so
This
this is
author
Danny's.
obviously did. Thank you, Danny, for putting it in there so we could check it out.
Now she puts hers first, a
That's
bunch of hers
smart,
first, and then other reads. Yep. It needs to be beneficial to all of you, but it also needs to be like,
efficient.
efficient and for you. It's got to work for you. So I think that hers is beautiful. If I was a reader, I would see this as like, oh, look at all these. It's like almost like a bookstore for me. Do you know what I
I
mean?
love that wallpaper. It's
I
so
know that's
like
pretty.
it's so like if I'm a romance reader, I am wanting to spend
Yeah,
all day in this room. She does a great job.
I agree. I've had other ones that have wanted to swap some, and some I've made the mistake of swapping with, and they, it's just basically 20 books. Like, here's what my update, and then 20 books. And if you're at the bottom of the list, you don't get any clicks. And so, okay.
So Maria
All right.
says, okay, good to know. So I hope we answered all of your questions about swapping newsletter swaps. And I know Maria was kind of saying she thinks that everybody on her list has already had her magnet. I would just like to encourage Maria to not believe that. Because
Yeah,
even if they have your magnet, they may not have read it. So, your newsletter's job might need to be to actually convert some of those downloaders to actual readers, which is a very targeted mission for you and might be really fun puzzle for you to play around with, Maria. So, how can
agreed.
I get people to actually read the book that they signed up to get for free? Go, Jen.
Right. So a couple different things, and I would rotate this out because you have more than one
Mm-hmm.
book. I putting your blurb in there. People
Yeah.
might have downloaded it and never even read the blurb yet because we get busy.
They just saw
We
free book.
know
They
it's a
saw
free.
free book. Click.
And then like, well, I'll get to it later.
Yeah.
Put your blurb in
Mm-hmm.
there, especially if you spend a lot of time writing it, and then wait a while, and then like do other newsletter things, and then put a really great scene.
Mm-hmm.
And a cool thing is put part of it, and then if you want to get some traffic on your blog, put continue
Mm-hmm.
reading here. Like it's on my blog. You can read the rest of it on the blog, and then send them to the blog.
Yes.
So there's clicks for your blog. And then when they finish it, then they can download it again, or whatever you want them to do, whatever the
Mhm.
action is you want them to do. You can do character snapshots. You can do pictures of, like, this is what I imagine John looks like, and then pictures of famous actors or whatever.
Yes.
So fun things, that's romance. Of course, I'm in a romance headspace, so
Mhm.
people love that kind of stuff, that read my newsletter. I did this something recently with Have You Met John? I did, like, and I talked a little bit about John. I've also, like, I love the scene. I don't remember how long ago I did it. The scene where John and Esther first meet.
Mhm.
Um, they don't actually talk except for her saying to him, "Move, you're in my way." That's all. But so, like, things like that, like things that are well written and will get people interested. So yes.
Mhm.
Where it says Jamie had the character introduction idea too. Did you say that today and I forgot it already? Because
I don't
it's early.
know. I don't Oh, I think I said it to her when we were doing the messaging about
Oh,
things Brits say
gotcha.
that Americans don't or should or whatever it was.
Gotcha.
She
All
called
right.
one of my jokes brilliant, and I swooned.
Well, you are brilliant and you
To have an
are also
actual
worthy.
person from the UK say that my humor is brilliant is like a bucket list item I never knew I had.
It's like the extra bucket you've been carrying around, didn't realize it.
Yes,
That's awesome.
right.
All right, so I wanted to talk about my latest newsletter, as always.
Yes.
Again, I've gained over 100. I had some unsubscribes. That's going to happen, especially when you get bigger
Yeah.
numbers. Oh wait, Jason says I've seen some that give a teaser scene in a newsletter. It also gives potential readers an idea of how you write. Very true. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so first of all, I've gained some readers without doing any sort of swaps or promos.
Yay! That's
So
great.
it's just this is now organic stuff happening, which those are better because the organics I know that they've read my book and now they're joining in, or they found me some other natural way. Okay, so first of all, 40% open rate. That's possibly my highest open rate.
That's awesome.
Almost 30% click rate. That is for sure my highest click rate. But even to get to the click rate, I had to get them to open it, right? So what did I do with this to get 40% open rate? And I think it was my subject line. Remember months ago, I took like a couple hours and I sat down and I did research on subject line, and I found like there's all kinds of websites. Just Google best subject lines for open rates or something like that. And I went over these lists, and anything I thought I could use or that I could change to work for me, I did, and I made a master
Mm.
document and saved it. And so this is one of them, a surprise gift for you. I didn't change it at all. I just took it and used it. And that's, I believe, how I got such a high open rate on this.
Mhm.
And the fact that I have such a high click rate is because I was offering them a free book that was mine. So this is
Mhm.
encouraging to me because I've been talking about this, that I was worried that I had created a like a environment with my newsletter that they are expecting free, that when I ask them to buy something, they're not going to buy something. And somebody said they'll buy yours. And I'm hoping for that. So this encourages me because yes, they're getting it for free, but they've never taken any freebie that I've offered from anyone else as seriously. I've gotten so many thank you emails from readers thanking me for the book. And
Yeah,
so
because they joined your newsletter so they would know when this kind of
mhm,
stuff happened. Like, this is the point of your newsletter, and it's very hard to believe sometimes because you kind of sell out of your own pocketbook in this way, and you happen to know how long it's been since you last released a book, and you happen to know all of the things that got in your way that make you feel like you've been neglectful or whatever. But the
right.
reader is just so happy to see a surprise new book from Jennifer Tong. They haven't been sitting every day wondering when you're finally going to, like, do you understand what I mean? Like, you
Yes.
gave the reader a very, very terrific happy day. And it's
Right.
just sometimes hard to believe that that's how people feel when they hear from us, but it's true.
It is. It is. And I'd offered this book before in exchange for reviews, if you would agree to give me a review. And I didn't get this kind of traction for sure. But I think it's also that, like, that burden of, okay, I have to read it right now. And so people are like,
Yeah,
I'll get to it. Where this is like,
right.
I know they're not all reading it right now. I get it. But it was encouraging to me. And if you're
Absolutely.
wondering why so the reason I gave it to them is I'm switching out my freebie from the first book. I'm switching it out to be the second book. And we're going to talk about why I did that and how I did that. Not this Friday, but next Friday's podcast. We're going to talk about going perma-free. So tune in for that, because it's just too much to unpack right here.
Yeah,
But
and those
before I
are
made
Fridays at 10. We do the podcast on christianindywriters.net.
Yes. So before I made it really public to the rest of the world that was the news of the freebie, I wanted to make sure and give it to my readers first, so that they understood like that they weren't missing out on anything and that they're special to me. And so anyway, so yeah, and we can open this up and look at it. It's oh, and the other thing is, so I've always believed in, because I went to school to be a journalist, that the whole above the fold theory is very important when creating a website or anything. And so I haven't been very good about it with my email. So this one I tried really hard, meaning that whatever you see above the fold in a newspaper is what's the most important news. And when you unflip it, there's important news there, but not as important as what's above the fold. Same thing with your website. Everything that's important before people start scrolling, that's what they see. That's important stuff. So if you see here, I just wrote, I'll just cut to the chase. My second novel, Avoiding Esther, is now free for all my email subscribers. And then there's a button. Yay! And that's where majority of the people clicked. And then there's the rest of the story of why I'm doing it, my gift to you. And then look at another, I mean, like, there's a lot of clicks there. So on both of them. And that's it. That's all I put in this newsletter, because I wanted to keep the focus on this is what this actual newsletter here is for, is to give you this book. So I didn't want any distractions. So yeah, like I'm happy with the results. So
that's a very, very good example of getting advice and actually putting it into practice, because, you know, people can say, try this and try that all day long, but until you try something, it will not bear any results. So great work.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I can't wait till we talk about that perma-free episode, because there's really, really good stuff going to come out of there.
I hope so.
Yeah, y'all should be over there.
Maria says, I haven't had any organics yet. I think it's because I make more sales on paperback than Kindle. Yeah. I don't know if you have your newsletter stuff, like the information where they can go to for your newsletter in the back of the paperback. I do. And I've gained newsletter subscribers from that too.
So wait, so go really slow and talk about exactly what you do, because that sounds like a really gold tip there.
Okay. So in an ebook, in the beginning of the ebook, I always have on how to subscribe, and at the back of the ebook, I do the same thing in my, okay. So this is you remember way back, the bad copies and mistakes, I still have them. This is so that I don't accidentally sign it and give it to somebody. So you open up my books and there's the title page. The very next page is, would you like a free book?
Nice.
And then all the way to the back too, where, I think it's in the about the author or something, there is the website as well. So I do, like, for the print book, I just get a shortened URL and put it in there so it's easier for people to type it. Because unfortunately I made my site for the freebie, free ebook.jennifercarltong.com, not thinking that that's 3 E's. And when people are typing it, so often people just put free book. They see it and they think it's just a free book, and then they type it and they can't find it. So,
wow, that's a really interesting tip there that you wouldn't have thought
of. And I didn't have any organics either, Maria, until very recently. So again, it's because I have over 1,000 subscribers and things are just starting now to flow for me. So, Jen, do you think it's better to switch your reader magnets? I have both free previews to my first historical novel and my fantasy novel in every newsletter edition. Should I be alternating? I don't think you need to, but like, if that's what they get when they sign up, you don't need to keep
putting it in the newsletter.
Put it in there. Like, you want them to buy the rest of the book if it's just a preview you're giving. See, I give away an entire book. It's a novella, but it's a chunky novella. Like, I don't know why I don't always have. Oh, right here, I do. My office is kind of messy right now. So, okay, so this is what I give away. I mean, it's definitely much thinner, but it's still chunky. It's a full-on book. And so, but I still have it for sale. So
I mean, I get subscribers giving away a free short story. My short story is only 15 pages long, and it gets me newsletter subscribers. So it's like,
that's not my point. What I'm sorry. Yeah. My point is, I'm not saying that, like, it's that you have to have a bigger thing. What I'm saying is that, like, you still want them to buy it, right?
Sure,
I would still have the for sale thing in there, and people would still click on it and go buy it. So sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. No, I get it. So So I guess I wonder what her question is. Is she saying alternate which one she features or change what her reader magnet is? Because I think that they're two separate questions,
Yeah,
Jen, and
I
that's
agree.
where you and I, because like we're trying to answer the question of maybe she might want to try stopping giving away sample chapters of both and considering making one free to give away and the other you put on sale. So the first one is free, but then the next one is on sale right now. So go get it. Like I'm saying, maybe her overall strategy could use some reworking because maybe
Mhm.
free sample chapters just hasn't been enough to really be an enticement to join her newsletter list. I don't know. It's just brainstorming type stuff that I'm
Mhm.
doing.
All right. She says, I do a kind of monthly, almost bumper pack with that month's blog post and a featured book. Maybe mine's too long. All right. So that's not your giveaway. That's just your newsletter, is what I think she's saying. So that, yeah, do that every month. Like whatever your content is. The giveaway is what they get before they even sign up. So, um, she says, I'm a small press. My paperbacks are already out there. It would be tricky to add the newsletter link to the back matter. Yeah, see,
Mm,
that's why, yeah, it's hard. But they want to make money too. So I would
mm-hmm,
reach out to them, Maria. Let me finish reading what she says. Maybe if they do another edition or something one day. So it's a small press. Does that mean that they do not do any print on demand? If they're doing it like I do as a small press, if they're doing print on demand, I would say that any future books, at least, they would be all on board with it because they want to make
mm-hmm.
money too.
I would agree.
You know,
I mean, if you've got a way to increase book sales, I would reach out to your small press and say, I think this would really increase sales. Would you be willing to take a few minutes just to update my front and back matter? And if you
Mhm.
ask them in a very nice way and you pitch it like help me help you, you might be surprised at how amenable they are to making the little switch. Because to
Right.
add something to an ebook that's print on demand is nothing compared to what they used to have to do, which is like recall books and say this is no longer the accurate edition and that they actually print books with the right information. So of course it made sense in the past not to make those changes, but I would definitely politely request that change.
For sure, in every book, and then every book going forward, put it in there. Um, Maria says, my question was, should I alternate her reader magnets? As Jen said, she switched them up. All right, I don't switch them up. So let me clarify. Searching for Anna, the ebook, has been my reader magnet for 3 years now, 2 years now, however long it's been out, has been my reader magnet. It's also been for sale. I just now switched over to Avoiding Esther because I'm doing something different. Again, we will talk about it next Friday. Maria, you're for sure going to want to be there because there's a reason why I switch it out. I would not keep alternating it. I would find something really quality that because you're going to constantly be growing your newsletter. The freebie is just to get them in the door, and then everything else that you do in the newsletter is continuing to give them something of value. So that's just to get them in the door. And as you grow your newsletter, every new person will get that same exact thing, and then all your newsletter content from then on out. She says it's not print on demand. They did some back matter on the Kindle, but not sure if
Oh,
they would do it with the paperbacks. I could ask.
I
It
wouldn't
doesn't hurt to
expect
ask.
it. Well, I don't. Well, I mean, whatever. I'm saying if it's not print on demand, it changes my expectation to. I might expect a no from the printer then, only because it is a real hardship to once books have been printed to make that sort like for print
Right.
books. I'm saying you could still politely ask. I would not change my advice to ask. I would just change my expectation to
Hmm.
they would be really going above and beyond for you if they did that. And if they were to do that, I would be so impressed with them and I would recommend them to people because it's a really big ask.
Yeah, I agree. My newsletter length comment was earlier before we started talking about reader magnets. Tricky because of the YouTube delays. I know. I don't know why there's such
Yes,
delays.
right.
So what was the question? My newsletter length comment.
Remember how she sends out a bumper pack? Like her newsletter is
Mm,
all like, is a blog post plus free books. Now, I would say if she's thinking, I wonder if my newsletter's too long and wants to find out, I might do click here to read more about the blog post inside the newsletter instead of putting a whole blog post in there. Just put the first couple of paragraphs with a click here to read more if you think it's too long. But then we were talking about you can't waste clicks, right, Jen? So how
yeah.
would you balance that?
Yeah, I don't know. So the statistic that I'd heard recently was that if you have like a lot of clicks, like 5, 6, 7, 8, and upwards of different links to click on, that things like Gmail, which is my number one, like the number one email provider for my my readers, because I can see the percentages of where people are reading it, by far Gmail. If there's too many links, they will put you in the promotions tab, which understandably, that's probably where we should be, but we don't want to be there. We want to be in the regular email tab. So the less links you have, the better. So you just have to be very smart. And that's with me, like I'm trying to decide, what is my goal of this newsletter? What is my purpose? So, so you figure out what you're going to do. And if you have a system, like there's the blog and then there's the other things, you just decide, like, can I afford to put a click here to send to my website? And if it's important for you to get website traffic, then that becomes important. That becomes more important than having like something like, which I took out. I meant to talk about that. I took out that thing at the bottom that had the books where you can buy them, because it wasn't important to me that anybody bought either of the books this week. That wasn't my goal. I used to just kind of have all this stuff at the bottom that I just kept in every newsletter. And so just in case someone clicked on it, and it was extra links that I didn't need. So you have to weigh what your purpose is and what's the most important goal for that newsletter when you're deciding on what you're going to put links in.
And you cannot remove your unsubscribe link. Do not remove your unsubscribe link.
I also don't think you can remove this, and which is fine, because I have people that I actually have a reader that has reached out to me and thanked me for doing the video one that I did, because she's hard of eyesight. So
what
she
is that?
This is where you click, it says can't see the images, click here and view in browser, because images are important for what I do. I spend a lot of time on them, first of all. But some email providers won't let you see the images unless you click this. So then they go to that, and she can make it a lot bigger in a browser than what she can in Gmail, and then she gets to see all the images and everything. So
Maria
that's
is, yeah, sorry about that. Maria's saying that she is in the promotions tab and she had no idea it was about the amount of links. Well, Jen is revealing also using the word free too many times.
Yes.
There's other things that the web crawlers are looking for in your email, right? So you have to, again, balance your concern about being in the promotions tab with the worry about, now I can't use this or do that. So it's really like everything else, a tightrope you have to walk for your own business.
One way all right, so then she talked about how she has 4 blog posts. And so one thing you could do, Maria, is because I know, like with a blog, you can go to the page where they're all listed. And as long as you have it organized well, where you don't have to read the entire blog before you get to the next one, if you use the read more function on your website, you could just use that one URL for that page where they can see all 4 of them and click on the ones they want to read. So then you only have 1 link instead of 4 links for that part of your newsletter. So that's one way right there to take the number of links down. Is that clear? Do you understand what I'm saying? Does that make sense to you, Jamie?
Yeah, it sure does.
Okay. She says, I'll have to think about it. The blog links do get a few clicks, so I might want to keep them. I'm not saying get rid of them. Find ways of being more strategic with the links that you use. That's what I've had to do. Like so this one here, yeah, I got rid of the sale ones down here, but that was a strategic move I did on purpose. And honestly, if we look at my numbers, it worked because I wanted them to do something, and that's what they did. I wanted them to download Esther, and that's what they did. So
that's great.
But if you look at any of my other ones, like this, have you met John? I don't know why my computer's going so slow. Let me view the email. So this is the stuff I'm talking about that was down here. I used to have social media icons down here. Each one of those was a different link. Like I had a lot of links that I hadn't even thought about. And so if I really want people to follow me on Instagram, I'm not going to just put it down here with a whole bunch of other things. I'm going to do a whole newsletter about what I'm doing over on Instagram. Are you on Instagram? Why don't you come check it out? So then that gives me more fodder for my newsletter.
Because I mean, really, I don't think people who are cruising a newsletter are going to think, I'm curious to know more about her. Where's her social media link? Why didn't she like? I don't think so. I think they might just Google Jennifer Carl Tong or click on a link that's already in your, do you know what I'm saying? Like you're really not being helpful to the reader. You're just cluttering up the newsletter and making a mess.
But if I do a newsletter that talks about what I'm doing over on Instagram, show some of the like pretty pictures maybe that I've posted, talk about like the funny behind the scenes, like when I'm like staying in like the grocery store, that I might possibly do a live, like a story. Like if they see
Mhm.
that, then that might make them go over there. Or like if you're on Twitter and you share a image, like screenshots of a couple of your tweets that you found funny or whatever, then that might bring someone over to follow you on Twitter if that's your goal for that particular newsletter. So again, it is more thinking. It's not just kind of like, for me, like when I first started off, I just kind of like, it's a newsletter, throw it out there. Okay, I'll talk about this week and throw it out there. It is much more strategic for me now, and I come out weekly. Not always weekly, but I come out more than once a month because I have more things happening than I ever thought of, and I was doing swaps and all kinds of stuff. So
Well, I would just like to scroll up here. Maria is catching newsletter chat for the first time. Did I okay, I'm just scrolling. Maybe you can just confirm for me. She's the one who just set 50 subscribers. Okay. Okay, Maria. You're already doing a really good job, Maria.
yeah,
Like, I'm just realizing we've been spending all this time like troubleshooting for Maria. Maria, you're just starting, Maria. Calm down. Everything is wonderful so far. Like Jen, she's asking, should she switch and should she change? Maria, you're doing great. Maria. Yes, girl, just keep putting one foot in front of the other. You're just starting. You're doing great, okay? If nobody has told you, you really legitimately are a writer. You're doing
amen.
good things. You don't have to necessarily fix anything right now. It could be that you're doing everything right. You're very, very new and young. I just want to give you some encouragement. That's all. Because
Agreed.
what should I do? What should I change? You can jump there real quickly if you're restorative like me, and maybe you are. So girl, you're doing a great thing by just getting started and trying to get numbers. Okay. Don't let the tweaking get you all discombobulated. Okay. Grow your newsletter list, do the swaps, focus on the basics. What would you say are her basics, Jen? She has 50 subscribers.
Yeah. All right. So I would say if you can get just this week, if you can worry about getting your links down, like she already said, just the one link is a good idea for the blog post.
Yeah.
I agree. And then for the featured book, I have book review and the book Amazon links. I have so many links. LOL. That's how I was. That's the only reason why I'm telling you all this, because I've been there, Maria. I have been there, and it wasn't that long ago. So like, if you have a UBL, a universal book link that you can get through Drafted Digital Books, it's called Books to Books is the website you go to. Then it's one link, and they go there, and it would take them to all the different stores, or just go to your website, make a web page where people can click on whatever store they want, and that's the link you use instead of a bunch of different ones in your newsletter. It's just strategy.
Yes, the universal book link is a beautiful, beautiful thing, Maria, because it gives your reader a choice to buy from Amazon or Kobo or iBooks or like whatever they all are. I don't even know what they're called, but from one link. And you can't promote an Amazon link in a ebook and then put it over on Google Play. But you can put the universal book link in there, because if the people click on the universal book link, it's not directly going to Amazon and it's not viewed as a competitor. So a universal book link is a really good thing for everybody to look into getting if they're trying to sell their book through a newsletter.
Agreed. Maria says it's just that this is my first chat I've actually made, so I think it has opened a dam of questions. LOL. I'm not flustered, but thanks for the support, Jamie.
She's not flustered. I think she's awesome because she's everywhere on, so like she's doing all the right things. This is what I'm saying. I'm like, okay, so Maria's asking questions. Of course Maria is, because Maria's on the ball is what I'm thinking. Because I'm seeing her all over social media. She's doing everything that she's supposed to be doing. And so of course she's trying to like fix what's not working. And then I'm like, Maria, everything's working, Maria. I did not think it was flustered. I just really wanted her to know someone sees that she's doing awesome work.
Agreed. So I would say if you can tighten up your links, if you can be more strategic about that, and I would say try 1 or 2 newsletter swaps with your next newsletter. Try it.
Yeah.
You could also experiment with doing more than just once a month. If you have 4 blog posts, meaning you're doing blogging every week.
Yeah.
That's newsletter fodder right there.
Yeah, it sure is.
So that one newsletter will be 1 blog post and then a newsletter swap. Because here's the thing about newsletter swaps. It's a relationship that you're supposed to be building. Like, I think that sometimes some people do it wrong, but you're building a relationship and you're offering your readers, look, here's another author that is the same genre as me. You might enjoy them. And if you
Mhm.
sign up for the newsletter, you get it as the book as a gift. Don't say
Right.
free.
Yeah.
You get it as a gift.
A
Um,
gift,
and
yeah.
so not only are you going to be exposed to all of their readers, but you're going to be able to give something else to your readers. Like that's
Yeah.
what I've discovered with it. So,
Mhm.
thanks, Jamie. I'm not sure you're saying my name enough. Are you talking to me?
Say Maria
Ah,
one more time. Oh, man, I feel like I'm, in West Side Story or The Sound of Music. Your name is everywhere, Maria, I just can't help it.
All right. Well, so my next newsletter comes out this Saturday, and I honestly am not sure exactly what I'm doing. Probably, so I'm probably going to be talking the perma-free. I'm probably going to be talking about book one. And here's something I was going to ask you to do this weekend, Jamie, and I forgot. So I'm wondering now that my book is perma-free, if you were to go on, because you've already given me a review, if
Okay.
you were to go on to Amazon and download it, I know you already have it, but if you
Will
were
it
to,
count as sale?
will it count as a verified purchase? I think that it will. And
Okay.
then everybody that gave me reviews that I gave the book to for free, like because they were a newsletter subscriber or because I was looking for reviews or whatever, if everyone that did that, I think they possibly would turn into verified reviews, which is a game changer.
Okay, don't be mad, but it's
Okay.
not showing up as free for me on Amazon.
You're kidding.
I'm not. Would you like me to share screen?
Yes.
All right. See how I'm like, don't be mad. Like, I think that's my fault. Isn't that funny? Let me see. Here
Jamie,
it
you ruined
is.
everything.
I know, right? So here it is. See? First of
Wait,
all,
hold on.
you've already bought this
Oh,
item. You
wrong
purchased it
book.
already one time. Oh, that's
That's
why.
book two. That's why. Book one.
Okay, buy this book too. It is completely awesome. All right. So it's which one? Sorry.
Book one of Searching for Anna. Book
Yeah,
two
all
is
I knew
free
was
if you sign up
Anna.
for a
Oh,
newsletter.
Anna's book. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Okay,
Yeah,
hang
yeah,
on.
yeah. I know I always do that. I don't call them by their real names, just by the characters in it.
I know.
You
Well, that's
know,
when you
John
know.
and
That's
Esther's
when you
story.
know that I'm a bestie is because I just call it Anna's book. All right. Yes, this is indeed free. Buy with one click. Here I go. Here I go. I'm saving $12.99. Read now in the Kindle Cloud Reader. I think I shall. All right. So I have actually bought it, and now it is in my Cloud Reader. So if you wanted to see, okay. So now what do
So
you want me to do? Go to my review now and see if it
I don't. I
changed.
think it might just take time for Amazon to
Ah,
realize that you purchased. So we'll see. Or it may
how
not
fun.
happen if since you reviewed it first, it may not switch it over, but we'll see.
Okay. Yeah, it does not say verified purchase. It says reviewed in the United States on the date that I did. And then, yeah, that'll be fun. That'll be fun for you to report back on next
Yeah,
newsletter
because
chat.
all the rest of our listeners here for the podcast and our viewers, if they are going to do something similar, then they would also, that's another added bonus, right? So we'll see. Again, not this Friday, but next Friday, we're going to be talking all about perma-free. So sorry that I'm getting a little off topic, but I just thought that was,
I think that that's awesome.
Jason says, I mostly stay quiet because I'm not published yet and I am just listening. So I have ideas of what to do when I get closer to publishing. That's what I did. Like within a month of starting to write my first book, which ended up being the book that's coming out in May. I just started listening to podcasts. I started reading books. I started preparing myself.
Hmm.
And it took 3 years before I started publishing, but I was more prepared. And some of the things that I'm doing now for my career are things I learned way back in 2016. So
Let's face it, Jason's just upset that it's not his name in my mouth today, saying Jason, Jason, Jason. Because we picked on Jason plenty on our writing sprint days.
I already met Jason, but he's my favorite person to pick on right now. I don't even know. Sorry, Jason, you win. Congratulations.
Aw,
So it's good you showed up today because you don't even know what we would have said about you.
right. Aw. Oh, Maria says, aw, one of the cons of being self-published, she didn't know she needed all
Of
this
not
stuff
being
when she was
self-published.
right,
Right.
right. She didn't know she needed all of this stuff when she was very published. She was naive about marketing, etc., and she's had to learn. Yeah, I just had a discussion with somebody else about a traditionally published author, and that traditionally published author is spending a lot of the advance on marketing and traveling for the tours that they set up for the person, and it's really interesting how much of the marketing and advertising is on you now, even if you get a traditional deal
Right.
with some big, like, I mean, I don't know who it was like St. Martin's Press Big. It was not a small house that they were signed
Mm,
with, and it was a substantial advance. But then also they were required to do a certain amount of blogging. Can you imagine? So it was like part of the deal
yeah.
that you would do this particular amount of social, like you have now in your contract. So it's interesting to note that no matter which way you go, there is going to be an amount of knowledge that's expected of you about marketing and social media, etc.
Right, exactly. Um, yeah, it's definitely a business choice you have to make, whether you're going to go indie or whether you're going to be traditionally published. At the beginning of my career, I thought traditionally published all the way, but the more podcasts I watched and the more information I gained, and then I went into the Christian bookstore looking for just a new book, a new author to read, and I just grabbed a book that was like on sale. I looked through the whole book or the whole store, and I just picked one up. Got home and realized it was book three, no, book two in the series. I came home and looked it up. So I was going to buy book one as an ebook if it was available, and realized that that very week she had a book release for book three. And nowhere in this was a very big Christian bookstore. This was like the Christian bookstore. Um, Nowhere in that store was there anything announcing the
How
new release.
sad.
And this was, and she still does, she does well. And she's one of, I'm not going to say which publishing house, but she's one of their like key players right now, basically, but it wasn't anywhere in the bookstore. And I thought, because I thought that was where I was going to get my sales. If I could get into a Christian bookstore, like, that would legitimize me. I didn't really have these words in my head, but that's how I was feeling. And right then and there,
Hmm.
I thought, and that's when I really started looking into it. And so I made the business choice that I was going to be in control of it all. And I was going to, like, my local bookstore now gives me, when I have a release, they do more for me that than she got, so but it is crazy. Like the publishing world has changed. Like back when we were growing up, there was no small presses. Like that wasn't even a
Hmm.
thing. So like, um, and
There was
then
only the gatekeepers. You either
right.
impressed someone at a publishing house or your stuff was never seen unless you went vanity press, and then nobody would touch your book because it was a vanity press.
And now all of the Christian gatekeepers, the Christian publishing houses, not the small presses, but the big ones, are all owned by bigger houses that their focus isn't Christian. So for me, I thought I was going to go with a Christian company, and it really isn't a Christian company anymore. You might have people that work with you that are Christian, but like the overarching, and so anyways, I was, God really led me. And like I said, it's a business choice, but for me, the choice I made to be indie, I've never regretted it. But I also have talked to people that have never regretted going public,
I might go
traditional.
trad pub if I got the right offer. Absolutely, I would go traditionally published, but it would have to be it would be a measured decision because
Yes.
that's the thing. It's kind of like whoever in the chat was saying, you learn over time the things that are important to you and the things that you care about. And my things that are important to me and my things that I care about are going to be different than yours. And sometimes exactly what a publisher offers you is exactly the stuff you don't want to be bothered with, like a cover,
Right.
like a blurb, like finding an editor. Okay. Those three things alone might be worth it for someone to give up the ideal of self-publishing and just try for the brass ring of a trad pub deal, because a cover can put you back a pretty penny. Do you know what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
Yeah.
So there's many ways to slice this pie. But when we started this podcast, we were Christian indies, and so that's what we are. And
Hmm.
so we're not going to make apologies for it, and we're not going to diss your choice, but
Oh, for
we made the
sure.
choice we made. Do you know what I mean?
Maria says, I'm kind of in between with with the tube with small press, indie,
Yeah,
but not self-published. And the
right.
other thing is too, like Maria could make the choice, like if she starts a new series, she doesn't have to go with her traditional publish. She could try doing, I know of other authors, oh, it's so bright here. It's gonna be 70 degrees in Michigan today. Other authors that like are traditional with this series, but self-published with this series, and love that to have the variety. So Maria, you can always choose to do something different if you want to do. Here's an idea. Since you can only, I believe, because you are with a trad company, a small press, you can't offer your first book in the series for absolutely free. I think I'm correct in saying that.
Well, that would make sense because your press would want to make some money off their investment in your book.
Right.
Yeah.
And some presses, like that author I was telling you about, they've decided that every first book in her series is free. They figured out what
Oh,
indie
that's
what
smart. Indies
what
figured that out.
indies figured out what. So but you could write something completely different that doesn't go to your trad publisher, and you can use that as your freebie, and you could also upload it to Amazon yourself,
That's a
give it a
great
try.
idea.
One book.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably what I would do. Like if I was like, I don't know what to give, or like, it's like you can only give so much. I just try something new.
Yeah,
That's
like
what
a
I do.
nano project. Like just quickly, couple weeks, 30 days, polish, edit, and be like, hey, here's a freebie. Do you know what I mean?
Right, exactly. Or you could then maybe write two and make one a perma-free out there, and then the next one,
Listen to
like
us. Just write 2 books. I haven't even finished my
well,
first one.
Maria, but Maria can. Like
Maria
Maria,
can,
you've crossed the finish
obviously.
line, right? You know how to
You
do it.
know.
And
Mhm.
like just since we've known you, you've written other
Yeah.
books. So
She's
you
very
can do it.
prolific.
So
Mhm.
she says small press was the right path for me because I didn't want to be in control of
Right.
everything. Yep.
Yep.
I wanted other people to do the publishing for me. It's enough for me to work on
Yes.
newsletters and websites. Ha ha ha.
Sure.
Yeah, we get it. We
Yep.
get it. My personality is, I don't want anyone telling me, no, this is going to be your book cover.
You're kidding.
You can't. I know that's a surprise.
Yeah.
Because there's so many things in life you can't control. This is my business. I can control this. So.
Okay, I have to address Kristen. First of all, she said all of her writing has been for school. And she turned in a 300-point assignment today, which we neglected to call out earlier as a great accomplishment.
I missed it.
So good for her. But most of all, she is in trouble for trying to be the favorite child. Now, there cannot be a favorite. I have to love you all just the same. So, you're the best Kristen Hall that I ever did meet, Kristen. And yes, you are my favorite Kristen Hall. Okay.
Oh, wait.
But
She
I
said
have
something
to pick
Sorry, go ahead. Keep talking.
I have to pick on Jason and Maria equally, or they will start to suspect that they are favorites, and we can't let anybody. I mean, we cannot have favorites. No, just kidding.
Trying to find. Shoot, I can't find it. Oh, here it is. But we all know I'm the favorite child. We know, Kristen. We know.
No, just kidding.
But Kristen, I will challenge you because
What are you challenging her to do?
Sprint for 2 sprints a day.
Yeah.
1 sprint, 25 minutes. You'll be shocked. Yeah, I would do once every day. Yeah, just get up as soon as you crawl out of bed, set a timer for 25 minutes and write.
Yeah.
And you'll be shocked how long before you have like a book almost there. Like seriously.
Yeah. You've got stuff to say, girl.
You do.
Go ahead, Jen.
So I was going to go on. Maria said, I did that as a Christmas short story for subscribers. I've been thinking of doing something short story. Yeah. I just would love you to try to do something bigger than a short story and then do and then just put it up there and see what happens. Because if let's say you self-publish something and you're able to really do all the control over it, just one thing. And because if you get some traction on that, it's going to bring traction to all your books.
That's true.
So, something to think about.
And your publishing house will be happy with you. Kristen says she's writing poetry in April. We forgot because we don't want to do a poem a day. So good job. She's already taking you very seriously, Jennifer, just like an obedient child would. Good job, Kristen.
All right. Maria says that's one of the other things with my small press. It's more of a partnership. They are happy for me to suggest cover ideas and tweak stuff.
Good.
E.g. the locket with my fantasy novel wasn't right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You need to be able to talk to him. Great.
Yeah, that is really great. All right. Well, that's been over an hour, Jamie.
Oh, wow.
Shocker. I never thought that you and I could talk over an hour.
Oh, yeah. So surprised.
It's shocking. All right. Well, I guess this is the last time, Jamie, that we'll be able to do this. Unless you make a guest appearance every so often.
Oh, yeah. I like being a guest appearance.
This is probably one of my... No, go ahead.
This is probably what? Say it.
This is probably one of my favorite episodes we've ever had. Because I loved all the questions and stuff. Usually it's just me and Jamie blathering on about what we're doing. I'd much rather have you guys asking questions and us talking about you. Believe it or not, I don't enjoy just talking about me. I know that's not what people think, but it's
right.
True. I'm out of coffee, but I keep trying.
I am not. I don't think I need any more. I'm already sufficiently hyper.
All right. Thank you, everyone, so much for joining us. I really appreciate all the comments and questions, and I will be back next week, 9 a.m. Tuesday, to do it all over again. Bye, Jamie. Oh, I think you're muted. Oh, you were muted. You forgot to unmute yourself. Go be awesome.
Go be awesome.